Um, so today I'm doing something just a little bit different, at least for me. And I tried recording something earlier, but it was fairly long. Started out with some data pad opening, and then some solo matches, and then I got into some clan matches. And I thought I had the whole thing going the whole time, but apparently about after the first clan match, it the recording stopped. I don't know why. I don't know if I did something or what. So, and I've had this happen to me before. So so what I'm trying to do now is not so much avoid the real time talk and have something lost like that, but one of the things too that I've been doing is since I switched clans is kind of try to figure out how to get better, right? How to improve my gameplay because uh, in this clan, I'm kind of like I don't I, I don't want to say bottom of the barrel, but I'm eh, I'm like I said before, I'm for a middle champ. I'm kind of right at the bottom of middle skill wise, so I'm trying to get better. And so one of the things I'm trying to also do is review my gameplay, right? Because it's a little hard sometimes without looking at it in retrospect. Um, so here, for example, normally what I do is I like to come and I like to get this beacon, and then if I can, depending on how crowded it is down there, I try to go right down to this next one. If I go down there and I find myself under a lot of pressure, in most cases, I end up trying to go forward again and see if I can chase down a camper. In this case, I wasn't actually super aware that there were three of them under me, not just the one that I was targeting there. And so it took me a little bit. Started taking the damage, and I looked around. And I was like, "Hey, why isn't this changing?" And that's when I saw the little kind of arrows right by my feet. So that's when I was like, "Oh, okay." Now I always get a little nervous going fast down the ramp because it's possible to slide off. The tests are kind of slippery when they run around, right? So, but I got that one. Now again, normally I get overly aggressive, and this time I decided, okay, we're gonna try to not get too far into it. And in the end, I came back up. it's but this time though, when I came up, it wasn't loaded with people, so I got a little bit of movement out of it, and went for another beacon. Because that's the other thing too. As a solo to get ahead, it's really hard to control a battle. So I haven't normally tried to control the battle so much as just bring myself to the top of the pile as far as damage goes, and that can make me a little overly aggressive sometimes. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to play a little bit smarter. I've always been a very beacon-oriented guy, so I'm trying to see if I can figure out how to uh, manage the beacons a little bit better. Not so much flip them constantly, but try to maintain the territory, right, so to speak. I don't know. I could be absolutely nuts, but um, I'm not really certain, to be honest. Um, Other than putting more time in, specifically what to go after in terms of improving. So I'm trying to just see if I can see where my bad decisions are, and if I'm doing it consistently, see if I can break the habit, right? You know, when I was younger and I was in the martial arts, right? Uh, some of the guys that were like the top guys, um, uh, competition wise, and in particular the guys that didn't do the fighting like in the ring or um, out on the floor, but instead did the katas, the forms, right? In order to really see where their mistakes were, because they could do it in front of the mirror, but you're also trying to really keep your head position, everything in place. Um, and this is way back before we all had cell phones and stuff. You gotta remember, I'm an old duffer, right? you know, I'm a 58-year-old white-haired man, and and we're talking back when I was 19. Okay, when I was 15 till I was 19, 20. I did the martial arts. A lot of guys did stuff like that, right? And but so some of the guys though, back then, we had the VCRs, and some people got some of the big recorders, and they set them up, and they would record themselves, and they'd play it back. And they found that to be really, really helpful in improving. So I'm trying to rewatch some of my fights and see where I could do better. I do like this. We have a Team Bear Clan going here. Bear Clan representing. and I say that in terms of like myself. Technically, I'm I'm an Ojibwe Bear Clan descendant from Turtle Mountain. So go Bears! I haven't really done too much with the Bjorn, but there's been a lot of Arbiter Equalizer setups running out in the fields lately, and so I made a slight adjustment to the pilot, and I threw the Arbiters and Equalizers onto this, and I'm trying to make use of this in some cases. I figure it's probably going to take me 2 or 3 seasons to catch up with my betters, but this is it's good for me. Do something different, push myself a bit. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. This is something that is it was a I knew that when I switched clans that I was going to need to step up my game, because I knew I was going to be going in with a group of people that had a higher set of standards. That's just what it is. And so now I am trying to get some time in and trying to see if I can't improve myself a little bit. I would like to get up skill wise to get up to be like a high mid champ, maybe like a low high, right? So that I could be a little less of an anchor, on my teammates. But it's tough. I have to adjust how I approach the game a little bit, because I have to for team play kind of stuff. I have to transition from damage and beacons purely for gold to beacons for position and damage based on that, and it's now, I kind of did the same thing I did in the last time I came down here. I came to this front one, and then I went down around the front and I ran back up the back side. I don't do that with intent to go that route. The problem with it is I have a tendency to shoot long when I teleport, so I come out on that side, so it's just easier to go down that way. You know, at first I thought this guy here might have been cheating. Might have been an attempted cheater, but he didn't know how to control. It doesn't look like he knew how to control it, because after this, he kind of dropped out. He disappeared, I think. I don't remember seeing him too much after that, and he probably did something he didn't have much control over. See, this right here is a bad thing for me to do. This is my old habit right there, is to go into the back of the line like that and try to sweep through some of the guys, rack up some kills, rack up some points. But, you know, to be honest, that doesn't give my team control of the field. It draws attention to me, and I can claim out that, you know, oh yeah, my team should move forward at that point. But the reality of it is, it only takes one person not paying attention to walk out and retake a beacon. So I need to stop doing that right there, and just hold the line, as it were, until I get a sense that my team is with me, right? This here, my goal right here is not so much to get a kill, but to kind of hold them down, right? Because I got a guy down there, and if I can keep them from moving around, limit their mobility, it makes it easier. He's free to move, they're not. This guy right here racked me hard. Boom! Right there, watch all my health. Chunk! So now when that happens, I don't have enough health to really charge in on anything, because it's very easy to with that low. So all I'm doing is I'm waiting to get one more bump, and I'm hoping to just launch up, and maybe if I can't, catch somebody loose, get a little damage on them, get somebody. I'm not expecting to go any further. I could have dropped it at that point, but I'm also disinclined to intentionally kind of rob people of kills. I don't like it when it happens to me. Sometimes I need to drop, and so I just, you know, I got to drop, so I drop. But other times, you know, if I know I'm on my last legs, I'll put myself out there, see if I can score a few extra points, and otherwise give up the ghost, as it were. Back again. At this point, I'm looking at it saying, okay, where is it easier to apply pressure, where there are more people or fewer people? Now, I assumed at this point that there was a guy behind me. I should have looked back, and then I moved forward. This was really, really dumb. I got myself pinned down. The guy up on the left there, between this guy, my guy didn't move forward to take the beacon. At this point, once I realized this, instead of trying to do this, I should have went down and to my left, back under the bridge. But that was just an outright bad move right there. I shouldn't have done that. I should have stopped it. I should have when I came forward. And you saw how I launched long on that. That's what I was saying before. That's why I ended up going down to the left and back, because I launched long on that a lot. And what I should have done is I should have just ran backwards, right? And went back and went down. I got myself into the lower position where the only one that could see me then was the Bjorn. So now, though, I looked at it and I said, okay, there's a lot of longer range ones, like the last time I was on Castle. I'm going to try to learn how to use the Bjorn a little bit, see if I can counter some of this. I don't use it much, so you know I'm kind of a novice. So don't be too harsh on the choices I make. You know, this is a thing where the more I use it, theoretically, the better I'll get. You know, But it you know, at a certain point when you've hit your baseline, you know, your base skill level, those increments above it, they just take longer and longer for each one. Um, takes more and more play, and it takes longer to get. It's just the way it is, and but those refinements are the refinements that make the difference between uh, a good player and a great player, right? You know, um, I'm kind of hit or miss on my good player. Um, solidify that, and we'll work to see if we can be good plus. Or good plus plus. We'll treat it like ammo, right? P plus plus. High pressure load. See, and the reason why I decided to go with this as opposed to putting these onto my Arthur was, this thing has a lot of hit points. It can be very durable. It can stand through sword attacks. Um, and so I thought this would be a good alternative because I really do still like having the Arthur available for brawling, like, on the type maps. I want this for like this one here, like Castle, like Springfield, Yama, right? Canyon. Ah, dang, he's doing pretty good with those. Usually you don't see them do so well because the recycle time on them is very, very long. I will say this though, while he's doing very well with it, you'll notice what's not happening. He's not pushing forward on the map. He's just sitting back there and he's knocking them down. So because of that, I decided to try. I never run this thing. Have you ever seen me run this? No, I never run this thing. So I decided to try to see if I could play a defensive position, put mines down with my own guy up there, and see if we can hold these beacons because the bars are real close. That's primarily what I was thinking. I don't know if that was the right decision. I'm pretty darn certain it was the wrong decision, or maybe not the wrong decision. Maybe I played it wrong, right? Because I think that holding these beacons is still key, but I don't, because I don't play it. I'm pretty certain I've played it wrong. I should have instead of getting behind this wall after I laid the mines, I should have went up by my guy up there and been ready to drop more mines around where he is, since there were more people up there and people weren't coming the other way. And then here, no excuses. I didn't really know what to do. I'm just kind of sitting there like, "Arr, arr." I felt like the kid that's supposed to be by the slow sign, right? You ever drive down the road, right? and you see the sign that says "slow children." You know, you ever want to just go out there and stand next to the side, looking a little cockeyed with your wrist all flippered out on the side. And when somebody comes by, smack it against your chest like a seal flipper and go, "It's me, it's me." Oh, that's probably cold and mean, but when I when I was younger, we used to look at that sign and we used to make fun of that. I know. That's not what the sign was actually saying. It wasn't saying that there were slow children. It was saying, I get it, but that was what made it funny. Or at least it made it funny to us at the time. Well, that was me right there. I was gimping pretty hard in that kanji. And I sit there with the Bjorn and I'm like, I'm not really certain what targets I should be going for. We'll work it out. We'll work it out. One thing is these all felt like relatively tough battles. Yeah, admittedly. I felt like I was working hard on these ones to try to get ahead. This is one where I normally I go to the right, but I saw 3 people going that way, and I decided this time that I was going to try to, you know, see if I could just try something a little bit different. See, and I noticed that there's mines here, so the one thing I'm trying to do too, I'm trying to figure out where a miner is. And the best way I've found to go after them is to try to teleport behind them. Because they usually aren't in the middle of their mines, they're usually on one side of their mines. But I don't know about you guys, sometimes I don't notice the mines right away, and then I'm like, uh-oh, too late. Just ate that one. And here I'm again. Instead of trying to push forward, I could have went to the right, and in the past I would have went to the right. But this time I decided to go back and try to reacquire home. And then again to go back out this side here. And you know, I have a lot of times I've tried to take essentially their home beacon. Now I don't know how I ended up on the roof up there, but it screwed me up because that's not where I wanted to be. I thought I was gonna hit a wall before that. So again, consistency. You know, trying to get more consistent on your movements. You know, my accuracy on my targeting of that when I use that. Now at this point here, I'm just looking at it going, okay, we got the 3 beacons. I don't want to charge too far ahead. I want to try to take advantage of my range. He's coming. I don't want him to come running my way all charged up and beat me down. So otherwise I wouldn't have taken off, but I did it because of that. So now I'm just hoping to take advantage of it here. There we go. And then I just want to recoup here and kind of not be the target. See, I can move up. I got him up there. Still want to try to keep an eye on the beacons to the left. Don't mind taking out a sniper if I can get one. Yeah, in that case I put myself up specifically to try to dig into the backfield a little bit. Now they're all dropping the Titans. See if I can get me one of those. That's not what you want to see. This is a last resort. See if we can get something. We do get lucky, but then we're going to go back and say hello to this guy again. Hello. Oh, and they just bam. Had enough of your crap, buddy. So now I'm kind of looking at it, trying to decide what's going to be most effective for me here, right? I think most of the swords are gone. These guys are looking more like brawlers. So let's go brawler. See if we can help out. Oop, he's got some points. Try to let that guy pass so I can try to get behind him a little bit, but he didn't really move forward much. Well, it looks like he got hooked up on the edge. Never mind. This is partially why I like to look at these things sometimes, because like you don't really know sometimes what really happened until you get, because you can kind of look at it not in the moment. Clear him out. See, now I'm going back to make sure to reassert against the beacons rather than go forward. A lot of times before I would have went forward and tried to go around the corner and see if I could get a Frederick and sweep through some people. But I'm trying right now instead to really play for the wins and not just the damage for points. And you know, it's a lot more stressful. You know, I found myself feeling under pressure much more doing this, right? Try to time this. There we go. I don't know though. You know, I still make a lot of questionable decisions. I'm going to try to do this more. I don't know if it's worthwhile sharing this when I do this. Because really this is more for my benefit than anything else, to see what I did right and wrong. Trying to remember, I think the last match I got in here, I kind of threw my hands up after it because, well, there were a lot of shenanigans. I was like, this is a good time to take a break. Let these people clear out a little bit. I don't know if that's now or not, though. We'll see if this is on the ship. Nope. Next one. Now, this is my favorite beacon runner. I don't actually consider this thing to be a brawler. You can play... The Teth is obviously a brawler, but this build right here I don't consider to be a brawler. To me, the whole way to be successful with it for the most part is not to brawl. Only do that when that's your best choice at the moment, right? Otherwise, it's really a hit and run machine. That's the way it's supposed to be operated, right? Let him burn through that. See if we can imp him. And so what I usually try to do is I want to get a full tilt of all of my whirling dervish going, so that you can get almost the equivalent of a sniper shot, one-shot kill on it, right? That was a known sacrifice. I didn't know that what was back there was a Kaji, but that just made it a bonus. This guy's going to tear me up now, though, because I got almost no health, and with those weapons I've got no vertical. But it's not what I consider, like, you know, if I want to go out and actually fight someone tough, that's not what I would choose. Um, Instead, I have a tendency to choose something more like this. Although the challenge I run into with this is it's kind of vulnerable to swords, as you will see here. At least for me, it is. And I tried to fight it on this one, see if I could target it and get it. That was a no-go. That was a massive fail. Haven't quite figured out what my best tactic is. Sometimes I just try to pound the button 3 times real quick and see if I can't get the accelerometer going and get a little speed boost. Try to just get away from it. I try to turn and fire into it sometimes, but that hasn't been very successful. This one here, that particular one, you know, I went up and because there was somebody back by me, and I don't know, I should have just waited and let myself drop back down. You know, it's the one thing is you know, I'm trying to strike a finer balance between just push and, you know, push and hold the line, push and hold the line. That guy just kept coming after me this match. I don't know if that's because I heard him in a past life or if I'm just leaving myself that vulnerable to him. You know, I was out in the open before with the lance. Probably could have taken a longer route, but the sword was just dumb. I was just dumb. Here he's coming after me again. Same guy. Gonna come after me again. He played that smart, waited till I teleported, but I had one more port left. That's the thing. Don't, you know, try to save up your ports. Don't just constantly move around with them, because a double port has its value. There you go. Get this guy locked down, break line of sight on the sword. Now go after the sword. Don't really care what happens after that. As far as, you know, the targets go, at this point, now because of that, I am now turning around, looking back at beacons again, and it's a little late, but we're still up on the bars. So at this point, I just want to get this beacon, then I'll drop this, and again go for a brawler on this map with what I've seen out there. Rather than chase him for the kill, I decided to go this way to try to take a more of a defensive thing and reclaim our beacon. I could have went around the corner, but I wanted to go for the beacon instead. We still have time. The bars are close. My guys are out there working it. Yay! Again, a lot of times in the past I would have went right. I'm deliberately trying to go back to home. And you'll make sure I see 3 beacons. And now see if I can just run up and score a couple extra points. Nope. So, you know, I lost 2 bots to bad decisions. One just horrible one. But otherwise, you know, yeah. Thank goodness for good teammates, right? People out there working the beacons. So now this is probably the last one, so this should be the foobar one coming up. Total cluster F. I kind of threw my hands up at the end, so don't be too harsh on me. But this one after this one, I was like, I'm gonna take a break. Review the tape, as it were. There you go. Review the tape. So I'm going to try to do more of this. I don't know if there's any value for anybody else. Anybody else wants to see this? For the 3 or 4 people that check my stuff out on the regular, let me know. You know, is the review worthwhile, or is it better off here listening to my live whining? Alrighty. Again, this is my habit. I try to, as much as possible, get these first 2 beacons right here. I walk to the first one, port to the second one. Some people in test port right to the second one, but see, if I come here, then I can port into the back wall right by their beacon, and I've got a Frederick going. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to watch the upper beacon and apply a little pressure, but these guys were really teeing off. I was like, dang. Just like that, like amazing amount of teeing off. So then I sat and I watched them for a little bit, and I don't know. Everything seems to be going fast. You know, I seem to. So I decided to see if I had any protection at all, you know, with the old Aegis. And, well, this went over like a turd. I didn't realize the AE was so big on those things. I didn't realize the area of effect was so large. But I don't know, you know, in hindsight, if it actually was, or if it was because they're completely jacked above and beyond normal, right? So, because just one-shotted with AE. I was just like, wow. You just did around 400k one shot on AE, not even a direct hit. Okay. I didn't realize it had that in it, so I'm just going to go with the toughest spot I got. And I'm watching these things, and I'm like, you know, it just seems like they're teeing off. I don't know, they just look different. Right? I don't know, they look different. And so I'm watching this as I come in. And now is when I first start to really notice, you know, shenanigans. Like, that guy, one of those guys for a second, his health went from nothing to half, just like in an instant. I'm like, wow, that's a huge heal. Alright, I'll let him fight him. I can't do much. But then I was like, oh, maybe we'll get him with a little bit of that Emp Blast. Maybe that'll help. Don't know if it did. But then I start watching again, and just look at the flames off of those things. And some of the other stuff, look at that, just and then what happened there? Just instantly gone. There's this guy. Oh! Alright. Alright, that seemed normal. Well, and then conveniently I run out of ammo right here. And I go down here. Or no, I go down here. I knew it was shortly afterwards, so I didn't remember doing anything much after that. Now we're down to kind of the end. And people just start kind of cutting loose. There's Darcy. Okay. Blatant cheating. And then there goes Rodrigo. There's Darcy again, zipping around. Watch him just shoot to the side. Oh, okay. All right, whatever. Don't know what he's doing. There's Rodrigo again. Oh, there's Rodrigo. There's Rodrigo. Oh, there goes somebody sliding around in the back. There goes, oh, okay, I don't know what he's doing up there. Okay, I don't, okay. Okay, so we got a cheater on our side chasing after their cheater. That was interesting. Oh, there. Oh. I'm more watching all these guys flying all around, you know? So, it looked like it was a battle of cheaters. I didn't realize we had one on our team until uh, fairly late into it. It looks like nobody really started going crazy with it though until towards the end, but I don't know. I don't know. It looked like a lot of the people running the new neon weapons were those things look pretty jacked. I don't know. So I just threw my hands up in the air and I said, "Hey, you're all cheaters." And I just reported them all. And of course, I reported the guy on our side. I basically ended up looking at it saying, "Look, did you have normal damage or not? Did it look like you were zipping around at one point or not?" Right? Um, I know I saw Schick and Rodrigo and Darcy. The bottom three I don't know about, but uh, collateral damage perhaps. At any rate, I was like, screw it. Threw my hands up in the air and said it's time to take a break. Not because I did bad. It's just let's let those people do their thing for a little bit, and we'll come back later. Plus, I can get a snack. uh, yep. That's where I ended her. So let me know. Is this anything that is useful to anybody other than myself? I'm going to continue recording and watching stuff like this. Whether or not I share it with you is, I don't know. I don't know how much value it is in beyond myself, right? How much self-critiquing is beyond that. But for now, um, there's a few matches in the morning. There's a few cheaters in the morning, and it's tough out there. Take care, people.